Hello, my name is Major Mike Webb, and I am a retired field grade Army officer, branch of military intelligence, who formerly served as the operations officer for all Army strategic counterintelligence in the continental United States. And the topic of the day arises from recent alarming reports in the news media about new variants of a novel coronavirus and more infectious strains about which apparently some in the scientific community in a pandemic panic have become concerned. So, for the next few minutes, we shall be providing an information brief to address some of these concerns and to correct some misinformation being disseminated by the news reporters who, more likely than not, as in our current example, medical doctors nor actual scientists by training or experience, but rather just reporters trying to take in a fire hose of information about complex topics under pressure, and especially in a pandemic panicked environment, more times than not, they do not always get things right. In the very first major report on a novel coronavirus emerging in China, the World Health Organization expert epidemiologist stated as one of the primary concerns and one of the best practices was to make sure that the general public is most informed about the virus so that they can use that information to be prepared. This briefing is unclassified. For review, in the prior installments of these information briefings, we have examined the purported comprehensive analysis regarding mutant variations according to Maggie Fox, the health science editor at CNN in the DC National Affiliate Office, who is not by credentials a scientist and who assures us not to become too alarmed because mutation is simply something that viruses do, in case you did not know. Intriguingly, while driving the narrative towards an emphasis on vaccinations, the new big push, none of Maggie's coverage ever mentions the over 80% of persons who have been infected by COVID-19 with no need for medical treatment at all. A fact even observed early in Wuhan during that outbreak. The failure of the pandemic pathogen to yet achieve the mortality rate of 6.7% to be validated as a local epidemic anywhere in the United States, nor the fact that no credible large sample size tracer contact study to date has yet to validate COVID-19 as an infectious disease, failing to meet the 20% secondary attack rate threshold, nor the basic epidemiological fact that no scientist has yet to validate causation for COVID-19 under Koch's postulates for some unknown reason, a proven methodology that has been used by scientists engaged in infectious disease control since the days of the cholera outbreak in Britain in the 19th century. The dawn of the new approach to infectious disease control, or modern medicine. In sum, at least according to Maggie, despite the emergence of what has been portrayed in the news as the emergence of a more highly infectious mutation variant for a pathogen for which not even one scientist has yet to date articulated an infectious dose for the less highly infectious pathogen to prevent, not validated as an infectious disease in an incredible large sample size tracer contact study to date, all current postures promoting mass vaccinations, social distancing, and facial coverings should work as a plan to eliminate COVID-19. Maggie, who again we must recall is not a scientist by either training or experience, but rather just a reporter who became pigeonholed with a variety of general science topics, ranging from the politics of stem cell research to swine flu, and at most a generalist and not a specialist, and who for the most part has coordinated coverage, not actually performing the research for these general science topics she has covered, or claims to have covered, rounds out her story about the mutant variations with a brief description of the final 2 of 4 known variant mutations. One from Brazil, which emerged in one Minnesota case, and the other L425, she describes, which has been detected in California, as well as other states, according to Maggie, the health editor at CNN. Maggie reports that a variant suspected of fueling a resurgence of viral spread in Brazil turned up in Minnesota for the first time this week. It was in a traveler from Brazil, so there's no indication yet of community spread. This variant, called P1, was found in 42% of specimens in one survey done in the Brazilian city of Manaus, and Japanese officials found the variant in 4 travelers from Brazil. Moreover, Maggie informs us that the emergence of this variant raises concerns of a potential increase in transmissibility or propensity for SARS-CoV-2 reinfection of individuals. The CDC said P1 also carries the E4K mutation, which we'll get into a little bit later. Some things that scientists know, but that Maggie does not tell us in this everything we are supposed to know about variants brief summary on the P1 variant is that it involves 17 unique amino acid changes, 3 deletions, 4 synonymous mutations, and 1 foreign T insertion, or that in addition to carrying the E4A4K mutation, which you should recall as being associated with escape from the neutralizing antibody produced by the body against SARS-CoV-2, it has several mutations that are known to be biologically important, including also N501Y, which is also a feature of the English variant B117. And it has been linked to increased infectivity and virulence. Virulence, a very important term, how bad the disease condition is that you will actually experience, at least in mouse models. It is of note that the E4A4K in the spike protein remains a topic for research in Brazil, where this variant mutation has been connected to that nation's first known case of reinfection, indicating that mere previous exposure has been found not to provide a guarantee of any immunity at all. Cases of reinfection were also even noted by medical researchers examining records from the USS Theodore Roosevelt outbreak, an incident that occurred during the short lapse of time between March 23rd, 2020 and June 5th, when the nuclear aircraft carrier was cleared for departing Naval Base Guam, but no known particular strain has been identified inside those cases as of yet. Departing all of which apparently Maggie knows about, or we're supposed to know about, the 4 major mutant variations for COVID-19, she proceeds to attempt to provide a comprehensive, albeit alarmingly brief summary regarding the L425 variant, about which she reports. Finally, there is a new variant seen in California, as well as a dozen other states. We don't know yet what the significance of that one is, said Armstrong, or Gregory Armstrong, as you may recall, as one of Dr. Rochelle Walensky's lieutenants at CDC. Maggie reports that it also has a mutation in the receptor binding domain of the spike protein, RBD. It is called L425R, and while it's being found commonly, it's not clear if it's more transmissible. Maggie explains that any viral strain can become more common because of what's known as the founder effect. The founder effect is a matter of a virus being in the right place at the right time, Armstrong said. If a particular strain happens to be circulating when transmission increases because of human behavior, that strain will ride along and become more common, not because it spreads more easily, but simply because it was there. And this seemingly superfluous reference to the founder effect, and perhaps paying homage to climbing Mount Everest because it was there, whether or not Maggie is aware or not is actually of some importance for scientists regarding a fact that scientists have been aware from nearly the beginning of the proliferation of a novel coronavirus around the world, even before the declaration of a pandemic. The pneumonia of unknown etiology that emerged in Wuhan in December, and over which the People's Republic of China President Xi Jinping announced total victory in September with the backdrop of the Great Hall behind him, is not even the same novel coronavirus that has become the predominant version around the world, identified by its spike protein D614G, but rather G614, which is now the predominant novel coronavirus strain causing mass infections the world around, which migrated primarily through and across Europe. So most of the virus that we even have in the United States is not actually from China, but actually through Europe. And many scientists are still a bit befuddled as to how exactly the G614 variation of this novel coronavirus accomplished its pattern, and have attempted to explain that phenomenon, at least for now, based upon available evidence upon the founder effect, which is even the topic of a research paper published recently by Nathan G. Rubog, William P. Hannig, and Angela L. Rasmussen in early October. For vaccine research, this distinction between D614G spike protein and the G614 spike protein becomes of some relevance, because with regard to mutations, where most of the research has focused upon the spike protein as the viral entry point, the most common clade identified was the D614G variant, which is located in a B cell epitope with a highly immunodominant region and may therefore affect vaccine effectiveness, as reported in a research paper published by Takahiko Koyama, Daniel Plata, and Laxmi Parada in February 2020. Further, the topic of viral mutations that escape antibodies used to treat COVID-19 as late as December, when vaccines began to become available, remained a topic of great concern for Tyler N. Starr and other medical researchers in Washington State. At least for the present, probably driving the focus of American scientists on B117 variant from Britain, as Maggie reports, which has been detected so far in as many as 12 U.S. states. It is expected, if based purely upon epidemiological models of geometric regression, its model trajectory should make this the predominant variant in the U.S. by the beginning of March. And as Maggie reports, it will take more study to show whether these variants can increase the already astronomical, as she says, spread of the virus. The U.S. has more than 25 million diagnosed cases and more than 430,000 deaths. The emergence of variants underscores the need for public health action, Walensky advised. First, get vaccinated when it's your turn. Also, some people may need help getting vaccinated. Please consider helping your neighbors and loved ones schedule or travel to their appointments, notwithstanding social distancing. Second, wear a mask, practice social distancing, and wash your hands, despite no evidence of fomite infection. And finally, now is the time to travel, Dr. Walensky therefore advises. And these are doctors. All facts that the leading infectious disease control expert should know better than anyone. This briefing has been unclassified. That concludes this briefing. My name is Major Mike Webb, and by God, I am running for governor of Virginia. I ask every Christian, every conservative, every Republican, every Virginian, and every American true to, like the motto of the infantry, follow me, and we shall overcome. Honest. And y'all come back now. Here. This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb.